I really love the Twilight Zone. I watched it when I was a kid on a lamp TV. Many of you probably don't even know what a lamp TV is. I don't even know if that's how you translate it into English language, but it was basically like a television that you would turn on and you would have to wait 5 minutes for it to warm up before actually starting. Sometimes the lamps would break and you'd have to replace them. Again, I don't know if lamp is what you call it in the English language, but yeah, it was an ancient black and white television, basically. And every night you would have the Twilight Zone, and it was so amazing. And I grew up with it, right? So I was really excited when I heard that they're restarting it and they're making another Twilight Zone. Um, Unfortunately, the progressive in charge, Jordan Peele, had to open his big fat mouth and expose himself as a raging racist. He went on and he said, "Oh, I'm not going to cast any white people as a main role in my movies." And of course, he got backlash because of it, and the Young Turks immediately jumped to their defense. It's like, this is our black person. Please stay away from him. We like him. And if you think about it, they were constantly making the argument that, oh, so white people always say, if you want minorities, make your own movies, and when minorities make their own movies, white people still complain. That is a straw man. Like white people usually say, make your own shit is when someone comes in and takes a well-established character, a well-established franchise, and turns a character black. You know, it's like the modern version of blackface, basically. It's like the Dark Tower, right? Like the main character is white and they make him black. And you have like examples of this all the time, to the point where now people don't even care about. Mary Jane from Spider-Man is now Latino. You know, it's like there's no reason to do this. They just want to upset people so that people then complain about the change, and then they say, "Oh, you're racist because you're complaining." It's like, no, people just want consistency. They want the thing that they read. I would just be equally upset if someone took Blade and made him white. You know, it just doesn't make sense. Why are you doing, like, what is the purpose? There is literally no purpose for you to do this, other than to diversify something, I guess, that, and by diversify, just remove the white people. So yeah, this is when people say make your own. It's like, look, if you want more diverse cast, like, why not make another story? Why not make another IP? Like, if you look at The Witcher, right, a story that's set in a fictional medieval Poland. It's like, yeah, there's only white people there because it was medieval Europe. If you don't like it, why not set it in Africa? Make another story set there or in Egypt. That's what it means to make your own. But no, Jordan Peele just says, yeah, I'm not never going to cast any white people as the main role. And that would be like a white guy saying, yeah, I'm never going to cast a minority, a black person as the main role, okay? It is fucking racist. But what it does is it shows that white people are kinder than minorities, I guess. You know, like if you look at Bollywood, they only cast Indians 90% of the time. You look at the Chinese market, they only cast Asian people 90% of the time. You know, it's just white people that have the kindness and compassion to cast minorities. And when minorities finally get it, they expose their true colors and they're like, hey, we're never going to cast white people. So yeah, you know, it was already sounding like a regressive shit show, but I guess the first episode is free, so I just wanted to watch. I guess I was pleasantly surprised, right? Like, the story wasn't that bad, I'm going to give you that. It was actually quite enjoyable. So I'm going to spoil the first episode now. I'm going to tell you what it's about, and you can decide if you like watching it or not. Apparently, the main character, a Hindi guy, now I'm racially aware. Thank you, Jordan Peele. Thank you for removing colorblind racism from me. The main guy is a stand-up comedian. And the moment the episode starts, he already shows that he's not a comedian, but he's a propagandist. Like, he is basically spewing democratic talking points at the audience. And I was, like, rolling my eyes. He's like, the Second Amendment. People don't want to regulate machine guns. That's how he actually says. Yeah, people don't want to regulate machine guns because it violates the Second Amendment. But the very first few words in the Second Amendment, it's a well-regulated zing. And I'm like, oh my god, oh, kill me now. Like, I really hate this, by the way. I genuinely hate it. It's like when the scriptwriter uses the character as a way to transmit the zinger to the public. It's like, zing. You know, and while this made part of the story, and I kind of get why they're doing this, because later on it makes sense, but it's still like that zinger for you know, the liberal to just put it on the forum and whatnot. And it's like, oh, come on. You know, it's like, why do you have to be so obvious? Why is it so blatantly political And it's only political towards the left, because if you make a video that's politically to the right, it's like, oh yeah, we need to close the borders and deport all the illegals immediately, like people would freak out. But anyway, right, I got past it. It's like, it's just in the very first few scenes, and you basically find out that he is not a good comedian. Like, the audience doesn't laugh. He gets a chuckle here and there, but overwhelmingly he's unpopular. So what happens is he meets this famous black comedian, which tells him that if he wants to improve his act, he needs to bring more of himself. He needs to give more of himself to the audience. But he needs to be careful, because once he gives something of himself to the audience, it's just gone. So he goes back on the stage and he starts spewing some political nonsense, Orange Man bad type of shit. People aren't laughing. People are bored. They're starting to text. They're not paying attention. So he starts talking about his dog. He basically says that, yeah, my dog was eating pizza today. I found it on the pizza, and then it took a piss on the pizza. And I think it's my fault, because I shouldn't have screamed at the dog while it was on the pizza. And oh, by the way, my dog's name is Cat. It's short for caterpillar or something. And people are laughing, right? Like, these are not jokes that are funny. They're really lame. But for some reason, like, the audience just absolutely loves it. They're laughing and they're hysterical about it. So for the first time ever, he actually has a successful comedy act. Now, when he goes home, he finds out that his dog is missing. He calls out his dog, can't find it anywhere. So he ends up going with a friend of his, I guess an acquaintance, a 10-year-old kid, which was his wife's sister's son. So I don't know what that would make it. Sorry, did I say wife? Oh, I thought this is a progressive show. In progressive movies, you don't have marriages, you have divorces, and you have like girlfriend in this case, mutual cohabitation. So he goes with this 10-year-old kid in town, and he puts photos of the dog that that is missing. And the kid asks, like, who is this dog? Like, why are you doing this? Like, you don't have a dog. And apparently on his phone, all the pictures with the dog are also deleted. Now, as he goes back into the comedy club, he meets a friend of his, which is a black lesbian woman, very progressive, very diverse, very, vibrant in richness. And the nephew starts mocking him in front of the other woman, basically saying that unlike him, he is a comedian. He cracks a few jokes at his expense. They're all laughing. They're having fun. And he goes back on stage. And on stage, he starts doing his usual political act. Again, people aren't laughing. But he starts joking about his nephew, which was in the audience at the time. And he makes a few jokes, talks about him, and people are laughing again. People are having a good time. Everyone is having a good time. Even the 10-year-old kid is laughing. And as he finishes the comedy act, he notices that the nephew is not there anymore. So as he goes out, can't find the nephew at all, goes in at his house, finds out that he's getting cocked, right? His wife is with an acquaintance from work, just casually having dinner in his apartment. Again, not my bad, not the wife, the girlfriend, right? He finds out that he never had the nephew. Like, all of the pictures, all of the no one knows about the kid. Apparently, the girlfriend's sister was sterile. She can't have kids now. And there's no pictures of a nephew. So he finally clicks and finally realizes that if he jokes about something from his life, that person is erased from history. That person is gone. So I really like this premise, right? It's like Death Note in a way. But instead of giving people heart attacks or just having different ways to kill them, if he ever mentions them on stage, people are laughing, so he gains something, but those people are removed from history. And his wife is encouraging him to pursue this, right? Like his wife, again, I keep saying wife, girlfriend, damn it, progressive movie. It's very progressive. His girlfriend is telling him, and he should pursue this because he finally found success. Now, she doesn't know that people are disappearing or anything like that. She's got absolutely no clue about it because she's got no evidence, right? Like her mind also adjusts for the timeline change. So you would think any reasonable person at this point would just buy pets. Like you would buy a pet bunny and then the next day joke about him. But no, he does what every progressive, decent person would do. He opens his laptop and goes through his high school Facebook, I guess, and starts finding misogynists and rapists and, you know, people who got in trouble with the law, people that bullied him at school, and starts joking about them. So he's becoming more and more famous as he keeps doing this. And as he becomes more famous, he gains a lot of confidence. He's not a guy that's basically a doormat. And at one point, he starts using this as a weapon for revenge. Like, there's this other white guy. And by the way, all white people in this movie are bad. Every single one of them are just bad. There's this white guy that keeps making fun of him and, belittles him at work. So he makes fun about him and he disappears from the timeline. But one day he finds like a white neo-Nazi. Can you imagine? Wow, in a progressive movie. And he's got like tattoos everywhere to display the fact that he's a racist. Very progressive. And he tries making fun about him, but because he doesn't know his name, because he doesn't, hasn't interacted with that person and just saw it on the bus, it seems that the magic doesn't work. So it has to be like people personal to him, people within his actual environment. So he goes home and he gets in a conflict with his wife about this colleague of her from work accuses her of fucking with him. Right? And any sensible man would do the same. It's like, look, you come home and you find, and I will use wife from now on because it's really annoying. You come home and you find your wife, with another man all the time, and it's like, oh, we're just friends. And when you tell her, oh, you're sleeping with him, she gets really angry, and it's like, oh, really? And she just leaves, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I guess if this movie is trying to imply that there was nothing sexual between them and it's just something absolutely normal to find your wife with another man at home in your apartment. Yeah, but well, whatever, right? So he goes on and he jokes about the guy, right? And I believe his name was Dave or something. And as he goes back to his wife, he finds out that she's not a lawyer anymore, because turns out the guy was her mentor, and he probably fucked the guy in order to get the job. Like, let's be honest at this point. If we judge this movie by having getting common sense, or this TV show by having getting common sense, that's pretty much what happened. So now she's a waitress, and she's very unhappy and miserable, and their relationship apparently was also quite strained, because back in the past they had a big fight, a big argument. Their relationship was taking a turn for the down low. And because they went into a trip to France, they actually managed to recover that relationship. But turns out they never had the money to go to a trip to France. So that recovery never happened. And, now they're broken up. So he's absolutely devastated because of it. He realizes that he did something really bad. And there's this scene where the wife says, it's like, oh, is everything a joke to you? When are you going to joke about me? It was really implied that at one point he is going to, kill everyone in his life. But, right, so you move towards the end, and he starts joking about people in the audience as well. At a certain point, they ask the audience, like, what's your name, introduce you, and then by introducing them and talking to him, they become part of his life. And the guy was like an investor, a rich person, part of the 1%. So of course he's going to joke about him because he's the bad guy. Another white dude, by the way, gets them removed as well. So anyway, like the punchline, like at the end, the wife comes out and she's like, look, I found this book in your house where he was writing all the names. It's like, who are these people? There was a little bit, forced. Because obviously she would just find the book of names and she doesn't know who those people are and they never existed. So, it could be just made up names in order to make a comedy. But no, she assumes that those people are people that he mocks and makes fun of. And it's like, oh, why don't you make fun about me? So he picks up the mic, he looks really angry towards her, and he starts making fun about himself. And after he finishes the act, he disappears. And all the people that got removed, they reappear because he never existed, so he never made the jokes about those people, and everyone just reappears. And because, okay, so what I think about it, I think the premise is great, alright? But you do get that progressive vibe out of it. It's incredibly filled with progressive tropes. My God, like, it's very hard not to notice. And again, like, every single white dude, every single one is a bad guy, and people are telling me, when I make these things, it's like, oh, V, you're like Anita Sarkeesian, you're basically like the SJWs that analyze art. It's like, okay, no, first of all, it's Jordan Peele that made me aware of this shit, right? Anita Sarkeesian and people like her, they were looking into art trying to find things that aren't there. You know, they were trying to assume some level of guilt on the scriptwriters. But here you have the scriptwriter confessing he hates white people. And it's impossible to just randomly choose this diverse cast. And literally every single white person is a bad guy. You know, if he's not making fun of... okay, so you have like the drunk fat guy who's making fun of the main character, and he did a car crash as well. You got the person that's cocking his wife, the guy that probably had sex with his wife in order to give her a job, a position. You have like the neon Nazi, you know, the guy with the skinhead and whatnot. Like literally every single white person is a bad person in this. So yeah, it's like a level of meanness to it. Like you get to feel the vibe that it's out of spite. It's just, you know, like this level of hatred towards white people. And it's like, okay, so I don't understand why I should watch your stuff then. You know, it's like interesting. No, I give you that. It's good. I'm not going to say it's not. A little bit too political, like it's a little bit too obnoxious. Like there's nothing wrong with being political, but this is just too obvious. It's too in your face. You know, it's like, oh, fuck the 1%. Oh, fuck Trump. You know, it's just like, and it's just one-sided. It's not like political from different aspects. It's not tackling issues. It's just anti-right wing, basically. So I'm not going to watch it probably. I don't know. Well, it depends like how many people are interested in me doing reviews. But usually when I do reviews, I'm not that successful. I get like a couple of thousand views. So, you know, I'm not. I would rather use my time in order to get through other articles that will give me some material to work that's more entertaining for all of you guys, not just a couple of you guys. But anyway, right. Let me know what you think. Tell me what you thought about this episode. I'll be reading the comment section. And if you like, do subscribe to my channel and share this video around. Yeah, I guess it shows that social justice can, I suppose, make good stuff every now and then. Like a broken clock can be right twice. It will be interesting to see if this will keep delivering, or at one point it will just become so obnoxious that people will just tune out. Most people watch these TV shows for entertainment, not to get a lecture into politics and try to indoctrinate them into left wing. Because you have to understand, right wing people are watching this as well, and it's like when you go Trump this, Trump that, they. Right. So you know, people complain that I don't have an outro. I need to say something. I don't know. Catch you all later, I guess.